Hidden away, but still in plain view here on 2nd Street near downtown Reno is one of the coolest things that you're gonna see on this channel. Behind me is a doorway back into time. Back in the World War II years, this was the go-to nightclub in the city of Reno. It opened in 1941 as an entertainment venue, and it hosted a parade of entertainers over the years, including some famous names. To me, it's astonishing that the old Trocadero Room facility is still here, and we're gonna go inside for a look-see. So let's take a look at what's left of a World War II era nightclub here on the Reno You Know. Reno and Las Vegas are fairly consistent in their ability to tear things down and rebuild. And for better or for worse, that's kind of necessary in the hotel casino environment. You need to stay new and exciting or you just can't keep up with the competition. That's why it's pretty unbelievable that this building still exists. Every other building that would have been contemporary to it would have been torn down and replaced or not replaced years ago. The old Trocadero Room is located in the Hotel El Cortez building, which you might recall was the subject of my second video ever on this channel. And I also touched on it on my recent video on Pinky's Market, so this will be my third time talking about it, but if you think about it, this is one of the only architectural reminders that we have left of old Reno, and so that's why I appreciate having it here. Just to bring us back up to speed, an immigrant from Syria named Abe Zatouni built the original hotel back in 1931 in the middle of the Great Depression and during Prohibition. The state of Nevada had passed legislation that year legalizing gambling and reducing the residency requirement to get a divorce to just 6 weeks. People with money were coming to Reno to stay and get a divorce, and Mr. Zatouni wanted in on that action, so he built this hotel to cater to the divorcees and other tourists. Abe Zatouni arrived in the U.S. after World War I and made his money in a successful women's wear store and a couple of other business ventures. Business did well enough that in 1941, an addition was planned for the El Cortez, a $250,000 addition on the back and the side of the building. And if you look closely, you can still see the seam between the original 1931 building and the 1941 addition. Right there. This addition increased the number of hotel rooms from 60 to 114. And at the time, this was the tallest building in the city of Reno at 6 stories. Part of the 1941 expansion was a needed entertainment venue, so the Trocadero Room facility was planned and constructed in a single story on the building's east side. The Trocadero Room opened on May 14, 1941. The country would enter the Second World War just 7 months later after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. It used the concept of floating walls covered in suede, and behind the 60-foot bar were a series of mirrors that provided kind of an infinity mirror effect. The ceiling and the walls of the foyer were finished with imported silver leaf as installed by a prominent San Francisco interior designer. Greetings and salutations from Treasure Island here in San Francisco. What the heck am I doing here? Well, one of the defining features of the Troc were relief figures located in each of the 4 corners, and these depicted, I guess you'd say, Art Deco dancers. These figures in relief were created by a young artist in San Francisco named Donald Mackey, and 2 years prior to his commission for the Trocadero, he was responsible for some of the most striking structures at the Golden Gate International Exposition, essentially the World's Fair, held here on Treasure Island starting in 1939. He was the artist responsible for the massive elephant gates at the entrance to the fair. And these were 120 feet tall, and each one depicted 3 elephants, which back then were symbols of pageantry. It took Donald Mackey 2 months to sculpt the figures for the Trocadero Room, and I'm just hopeful that when we go inside, we'll still be able to see these figures on the walls. Hey, before you leave today, would you please click the little like button on your way out? That will simply give the video some more traction and let more people see it. And if you haven't already subscribed, please click the subscribe button. Episodes like this happen because I am getting enough subscribers that I'm getting permission to video things that I wouldn't ordinarily. So please help me help you and subscribe to this channel. Not only was this an unmatched facility in Reno, but the El Cortez, which was then run under a lease by 3 brothers named Bulaski, they brought in some talented individuals to help run the place. When it opened, the manager of the hotel and the Trocadero Room was R.J. Miller, who was a former attorney from Iowa that in later years had much experience in hotels and in banking. The Trocadero also offered fine dining, so a talented chef was needed. John Lischetti was a native of Switzerland, and in Europe he was the chef at fine hotels in Italy, Switzerland, and London. When he came to America, he worked at a couple of hotels in New York City, including the Waldorf Astoria. The maitre d' was Ernest Venati, who came up from Los Angeles for the job. He had experience at dining establishments in Florida and in Hollywood, as well as overseas in France and in London. When it opened on May 14th, 1941, the Trocadero was accessible through this door on 2nd Street and also from the inside through the coffee shop and the hotel lobby. When it opened, several businesses took out ads in the newspapers congratulating the El Cortez on the opening of the Trocadero Room and also on the reopening of the hotel itself, because it had been closed for a minute for a complete renovation so that the old part of the hotel would match the brand new addition. The Trocadero proved to be popular with Reno as a whole, and especially with the military folks that were stationed out at the old Reno Army Air Base, which later became the Stead Air Force Base and today is the Stead Airport. The Trocadero was known for dining, cocktails, and dancing in the 1940s, and a continuous parade of entertainers came through. Singers, dancers, and musicians with up to 3 floor shows nightly. And for a time, the Trocadero even had a house orchestra. Several big-name entertainers from back in the day played the Trocadero. Chico Marx of the Marx Brothers played the room in November of 1944. Unfortunately, Chico had a lifelong addiction to gambling, and as such, he was playing small venues like this to make money while his brothers had long since retired on their Hollywood income and savings. The Trocadero also hosted the musical stylings of Victor Borge, who played there in November of 1943. Also, the Andrews sisters reportedly played there, but I've been unable to locate any advertisements to substantiate that. However, they did play other locations in Reno like the Mapes Hotel and Tony's El Patio Room. Also, Sophie Tucker, known as the last of the Red Hot Mamas, an early vaudeville performer, was one of the most famous entertainers in the first half of the 20th century. She performed there in January of 1944. And now, here are some of the entertainers that played the Trocadero Room over the years.
All day, my girl is eating, always she feels like eating. He's got girl trouble, I got girl trouble. That's her.
Calm is the night, the wind is asleep, a drowsy old moon floats above. Suddenly comes a jolt, crash goes a thunderbolt. Isn't that just like love?
I can't forget the night we met. How bright were skies above. gonna grieve me. You're gonna miss your red hot mama, your mama, mama these days.
A talking dog. Piano playing also. I wonder how his violin playing is.
The heyday for the Trocadero Room was certainly the World War II years, and there's no real written account of the history of this place, so I've done my best to piece it together using old newspaper ads and articles. And I've looked at a lot of the ads for the entertainment that they presented here, and it looks like right after the end of World War II in 1945, they pretty much stopped offering live entertainment, and they stopped cold turkey, with the exception of an orchestra called the Charlie Cayley Orchestra. And I believe Charlie Cayley came up from Las Vegas for this gig, and I believe he still has family in this area. It continued on as a cocktail and dining establishment through the 1950s, and occasionally would host meetings for civic groups and the occasional wedding reception. At some point in the 1960s, the Trocadero went dark except for the occasional private gathering. In August of 1966, there was a newspaper article that stated that the old room would be reopened as the Roaring Twenties under new ownership, featuring a jazz-era theme. Then in June of 1968, an entrepreneur leased the old room and created Athens West, which featured Greek cuisine and entertainment. Unfortunately, that didn't go over well, and the Athens West closed up in less than a month. In 1971, it appears that the El Cortez owners, Guido and Bruno Pincolini, made an effort to put the Trocadero back on the map. In this newspaper ad from December of 1971, they mentioned the delectable Trocadero buffet for $2.75, but if you were to bring in a picture taken in the Trocadero Room prior to 1950, the buffet would be on the house. It appears that the old room spent a quiet existence since the 1970s, essentially serving as the El Cortez cocktail lounge, until it sprang back to life in 2017. Some young business people came in and leased the place, and they decided rather than gutting it and rebuilding, thank God, they refurbished it to the room's original expression as a 1940s nightclub. They opened the all-new Trocadero in 2017, and they presented live music and DJs on a stage that was built near the front door. This incarnation lasted a year or two, and then the business became known as Faces, and that business lasted until late 2022. So this site has been vacant for just over 2 years, and I'm really curious what we're going to be able to see inside. Has it been altered beyond recognition, or will we be able to see some cool features from the 1940s? Let's go in and take a look.
Tonight I dream of a campfire's glow and music of a guitar. Someday we'll really be there, I know, under the western stars. Somewhere in the west, in a cozy nest, far from all the busy world, we'll find content and rest. We will greet every day with our laughter and a heart full of joy ever after. We will sit and dream by a mountain stream, and like stars from up above, your eyes with love will gleam, and we'll find a spot that heaven must have blessed.
This has to be one of the most fantastic rooms in the whole city of Reno. And although this room was used for different purposes over the years, the structure of this room, the bones that we see today are pretty close to what the building looked like when it opened in 1941. If there were a gauge or a unit of measurement called Sinatra-ness, then this place would be a 10 on that scale. These rooms just ooze Sinatra-ness.
We will sit and dream by a mountain stream, and like stars from up above, your eyes with love will gleam, and we'll find a spot that heaven must have blessed. Sweetheart, somewhere in
The folks at the Siegel Corporation and the local management here have been more than accommodating in giving me access to things to help bring this episode to life for you. And at the end of regular filming, I was shown some really cool old stuff that harkens back to the old historic days of the Hotel El Cortez. All right, this is the final resting place of Abe Zatouni here in Reno. He immigrated to the U.S. from Damascus, Syria, just after World War I, settled in Reno, and he made his money in various businesses, and then he built the El Cortez, so we have him to thank. This is the third video where I've touched on the El Cortez, so I'm going to leave it alone after this for a while, unless I come up with any other stories associated with it. But I hope you have enjoyed these. All right, thanks for hanging out with us again for this episode. Glad to have you on board, and look at you stayed till the end. We sure appreciate it. We're finishing this episode up here with my brother Theodore, my brother Ted. I haven't seen him in quite a while, and we came over to visit him here at the Bay Area. And Ted is a stained glass artist, and he does work all over the country. He started in the arts and crafts mode. Is that right? But now you're kind of morphing into a more modern design aesthetic.
Exactly right.
Yeah, cool. And you've been doing glass work for how long?
26 years.
26 years. Wow.
Yeah.
Check out TheodoreEllison.com and see some of his work. TheodoreEllison.com. It's pretty amazing. If you like something unique and designed for your own home or business, this is the guy to work with, I'm telling you. And we're finishing off this episode here together at the Almanac Ale Works, Almanac Brewery in Alameda, California. And I'm enjoying a rye barrel aged stout. And what do you have in there, Theodore?
I have a Czech Pilsner.
A Czech Pilsner. Good.
So good.
Good on you. Yeah. They make it all here, as you can see behind us. And it's kind of chilly today, like it is in the Bay Area a lot. So it's good to have a little winter warmer. And I just thinking more about this Trocadero room that we just looked at. I think this room is unique in the state of Nevada. It might be the only one, a World War II era 1940s nightclub that is still intact. I can't think of any place in Las Vegas that is still around from the 1940s. And if it was, it would probably have been changed drastically. It wouldn't be on the Strip because the Strip's all new and constantly evolving. There might be something downtown, I don't know. And if you know something, please let me know in the comments. Hey, there might be something in Elko or Pioche or Tonopah that I'm not aware of. But I think this is pretty unique in the state of Nevada. And also it's a shame to let it go dormant like it is and empty. It should be used and repurposed. So if you would like to bring the Trocadero Room back to life, it's available for lease. And the leasing information, the agent's information is on the front door at the beginning of this video. So if you rewind the video to the beginning, you'll get her phone number and she'd be more than happy to talk to you. Please help bring the Trocadero Room back to life. Right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Again, thanks for hanging out. Please like the video and subscribe if you would. And as Harold S. Smith Sr. of Harold's Club always said, I'm with you. Cheers.